Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Nurse Girlfriend. I, 21 male, don't know if I'm being a rich, ignorant a-hole or if my girlfriend, 20 female, is exaggerating her schoolwork, and I hate the suspicious thoughts I'm having about her. So Elaine and I have been dating ever since we were 17 years old, but we've known each other longer, since middle school. I have wealthy parents and my father is teaching me about managing his company, so I have a very stable future and an extremely high income for my age. I do not go to university, though I might in the near future. Elaine is one of the few girls who I felt loved me for who I am and not my parents. She always wanted to be a nurse, just like her mother. She doesn't work. She lives with me in my apartment and I pay for everything: rent, bills, groceries. In exchange, she cooks, cleans, and takes care of the place. She initially thought it was unfair to me, but I don't want her to worry about money while she's going through school since it helps her a lot for little effort on my part. However, she spends a lot of time studying, like wake up, going to class, coming home and studying for 5 hours, eating and then sleeping. I know nursing is a difficult field, but does it really require so much time? My older brother, 28 male, wanted to become a doctor, so he studied pre-med in undergrad, and I feel like he had more time than she did. She told me her first 2 years of undergrad would be a sort of pre-program in preparation for 2 years of the actual BSN nursing program for the registered nurse license. Huh? So if I'm understanding correctly, she's not studying the actual nursing classes, just the prerequisites from the nursing program: biochemistry, humanities, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, microbiology. Did she take biochem twice? And something like that. My other friends in college also have so much more free time than her, though their majors are in other fields like business, math, engineering, and programming. I understand Elaine is a highly competitive student. She used to cry about B's sometimes in high school and still sometimes freaks out over B's on college exams and goes to a highly ranked school. But sometimes I feel like she's just exaggerating how much time she actually needs to study and complaining about her workload and time spent studying, or that she spends half the time procrastinating or something. Lately, she leaves a lot of chores undone or gets forgetful with cleaning and such. I don't mind that much since I'm sure school isn't easy, but our mutual friend brought up his suspicions that she actually does not study that much and is just saying schoolwork is extremely difficult. It's just nursing, lol, not even pre-med. I thought his suspicions were stupid and he was just stirring crap, but I asked Elaine about it anyways. I asked her why she studied so much compared to the other people I know and if she actually needed that much time, if she was procrastinating, exaggerating, etc. She said she understood that her studying for hours a day could seem unrealistic, but she asserted that the program she was trying to get into was highly competitive with a very low acceptance percentage and she needed perfect grades to get in. She said that comment from our friend made her efforts seem invalidated. I can't believe he would say it's just nursing. Who does he think he is? And was furious for a while, but I keep overthinking it in my mind. I want to believe her, but seeing my brother and all my friends and pretty much everyone has more free time than her doesn't match up to me. Also, if she is exaggerating, I would be upset because she said the only reason she slacks on chores lately is because of the time needed for school. I would feel pretty cheated if she exaggerated, shirked the duties that she suggested herself, and still expected me to pay for everything. Not because it's the money itself I really mind, but the deceit and laziness. I don't think she's that type of person, but I can't get that concern out of my head, and even though we talked about it. I hate that I'm suspecting her because it reminds me of my suspicions of girls in my past that I know have used me for money, and I know she's not like them. I fear I'm being stupid and ignorant of how much time school really takes since I have never been to college or university myself, and high school was a joke. Please enlighten me. I really want to stop suspecting these terrible assumptions about her, especially because she is a really good person. Well, OP, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that yeah, you are being an ignorant a-hole regarding how much time your girlfriend needs to study. And the reason I'm calling you an a-hole is because you say you want to believe her and you know she's not that kind of person, but at the same time you suspect her. And also what I think makes you kind of an a-hole is that even though you talked about it with your girlfriend and she gave you an explanation which you are absolutely ignorant about because you know nobody except your girlfriend that goes to nursing school, but you still listen to your friend because he has a feeling that she might be lying or something? Just because you know people that go to university doesn't mean that you know the lives of everybody that goes to university. You're assuming too much and you're letting your friend's questions that are baseless make you insecure about your relationship or what your girlfriend says. Now, on her part, yeah, she should follow through. If she doesn't have the time, then she should at least tell you about it, give you a heads up. She is the one that made that commitment. Maybe she didn't measure the time properly, she needs to improve her time management. But yeah, she should follow through. But back to your problem, I guess the main question here is OP, do you trust your girlfriend or not? And what do you guys think about this whole situation? Do you think OP is being an ignorant a-hole? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Magic is Might says, I think you're being a dismissive turd about something she's clearly passionate about. It's clear that you look down on what she's doing and her career choice. Damn her for studying hard to do well at something she clearly has an interest in. I know many friends who went through the nursing program and it can be intense. Unlike you, she wasn't handed a well-paying career by rich parents. She has to work for it. Try being a bit more supportive and less dismissive. Lollapalooza says, your pre-med brother sounds like he's going to have a rude awakening if he gets to med school unless he's some kind of literal genius with an eidetic memory. You said he wanted to be a doctor, not that he became, and studied pre-med, not that he is going through med school. So what happened to that? Did he flunk out? Change his major for something easier? Drop out? And she's right to be angry that your friend invalidated her. That's exactly what he did. It's not even pre-med. And you didn't defend her? Do you look down on her for choosing nursing as a career? Because it almost sounds like you do. She's studying a lot and going to school full time. I think that's more important than a perfectly clean house, and certainly not a symptom of laziness. Also, you're trusting what your idiot friends say over what you see with your own eyes. So yes, that makes you an ignorant a-hole. If your friends told you she was a member of ISIS, would you believe them? I mean, that's the level of stupid you're showing here. Princess Awesome Pants says, wow, you're being a completely unsupportive douche with this. Some people need to spend a lot more time studying than others. Some people care about their grades. Some people try to get into competitive programs. Some people don't have a career handed to them by mommy and daddy. How dare you begrudge her efforts to build her career? If you don't trust her, do her a favor by breaking up with her. If I were her, I'd rather be single and deep in debt than get a free room and board from someone who thinks the way you do. It's Lola's Caviar says, I have just completed nursing school and it was the hardest, most difficult challenge I have ever tried. You have a hardworking girlfriend who is trying to do her best. Maybe she has studied more than others to make the grades she wants. I know I have to as well. My peers seem to grasp concepts much easier than I can sometimes. I tried to explain to my fiance all of my stresses regarding schoolwork. He supported me financially throughout my academic career, but he never fully understood the amount of stress I was under. No one except my nursing school friends understood. I would try to explain to family members and friends all the stress, but it just made me sound like a loon. My fiance would groan at the thought of another weekend of me studying and being in front of him while never being available. We did work out a compromise. Evenings and Friday nights were for him, and I would get as much studying done as possible before he came home. You are not a bad boyfriend, you just cannot relate to her experience at this time. Try to be supportive. Without my fiance's support, my dream would have gone nowhere. And Kathleen says, she is highly competitive and wants to be the best. Isn't this something you admired about her? Is this something you still admire about her? It could be that you two have grown apart and what used to appeal to you no longer appeals to you. And that happens. Most people do not end up marrying people that they dated in high school because the 20s are a time of huge growth and change. It's okay to break up. More because you are no longer attracted to this part of her. Don't accuse her of lying, she is working hard to be her best. Some people have to study 3 hours for every hour of class to make a B. Some people only have to pay attention in class to get an A. Don't judge her by her study habits. Maybe revisit the agreement to live together. Have a chore list. It's okay to take out the trash even if you pay the entire rent. If you still love her and want to be with her, this is definitely something to work through. If you're ready to move on, that's okay too. Alright, well I think the community came through for OP and gave him a lot to think about, from calling him out for being an idiot to, maybe you need to break up. Now, OP didn't reply to any comments, so we have no additional context, which means we move on straight to the update, but first, here's another one of my playlists that I'm sure you can enjoy after the video. Now, let's move on with the update. Okay, after being ripped a new one by everyone and talking to one of her friends, I realized I was being a huge jerk. I got a lot of messages calling me an a-hole for bragging about my wealth in the earlier post, but it was just for context. I thought about it longer and realized the problem was my lack of trust in her. Thanks a lot to 2 users, your posts helped me put what I was feeling in words. I do not look down on nursing as a profession, though some of my friends do. When I was in the hospital for a brief stint, the nurses were the kindest people to me, and I could not thank them enough for what they do. I realize I'm lucky to be born into a well-off family, and I realize I am extremely ignorant of how difficult college and university is, since the only metric I have to judge for myself are my friends, who are all in similar positions. But the real problem was that I couldn't trust her because I was scared it would turn out to be like my past relationships, where a sweet person would be caught bragging to her friends about taking me for all I'm worth. Smiley face. To note, I am not talking about my past girlfriends. She knew of them already via the grapevine, since we've always had a mutual friend circle. She already knows I've gotten burned many times. I do not bring it up around her on purpose, as I don't like talking about them, but she likes inquiring about my history. Anyway, I told Elaine about all my concerns last night and how awful I felt suspecting her. She said not to worry about the chores since she was the one who proposed the idea anyway for fairness. She didn't want to feel like she was freeloading, and told me she understood that I am socially not the most aware. And to be clear, she does not let me do chores for her because she feels she has to uphold her end of the deal, though I honestly don't care if she does them or not. If she needs the extra time, I would love to tell her it's not a problem. She said people who aren't born into wealth have to work harder. I knew that as a fact, but I never really internalized it until now. And that she enjoys these subjects and wants top grades so she can get into a really good program. I know I probably still sound like a stuck-up a-hole. Sometimes I wish it wasn't like this so I could understand Elaine better. She is the most patient and loving girl I've ever known, and it makes me feel so abashed every time she explains these simple concepts to me with such sympathy. She showed me her Valentine's Day gift early, which was a really adorable jar of slips of paper with things she loved about me written on each one, and she said none of them involved money. It made me cry. I asked her if she'd let me do some of her chores to take off the workload, but she refused because that's what I agreed to and I don't want you to ever feel like you're being used again. I want to start doing it anyway when she's unaware, even though it's horribly embarrassing having to Google how to do laundry at 21. I feel like an idiot. I have brought up the idea of a cleaning service, and though she was vehemently against it before, I hope she will rethink it now. She says she wants to maintain her independence, but I truly think just hiring someone would help her out a lot. Anyway, this update's not really eventful. I just felt incredibly stupid for not trusting her and letting my past catch up to me. With that out of the way, I don't care about paying for anything or having a clean house or anything like that. For as long as she needs, I want to support her through school since she's working so hard. Thanks for knocking some sense into me. Well, OP, I'm gonna call this a positive and a happy update all at the same time. You got through your issue because you were able to understand properly, which is awesome. And I gotta say, I really like your girlfriend's mentality. That is a go-getter winner mentality right there. So I'll just end this part of the commentary by saying, here's wishing you both all the best in the future, OP. Thank you for sharing and take care. Now, let's finish this video off with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Shabuti. Work during my planned vacation, then have to pay me extra when I leave. I'd been working at this company for about 3 years. I had been consistently growing in my role and eventually was given a project to own, with 1 or 2 other team members if needed, but it was a major project with a quick turnaround. I determined I could do it myself, though it would be tight, and since I was hoping for a promotion, I took on the project solo. I was able to deliver the project slightly ahead of schedule and with better quality than expected, which allowed us to make a huge sale. The head of the company gave me an award at an all-hands meeting for the work I did, and my boss let me know I was on track for an end-of-year promotion, with a nice pay raise and more responsibilities. But I was needed in another part of the business, so I was going to have to transfer under a new manager that was notoriously hard to work with him. So I transferred to this manager, and the first meeting we had to get on the same page, I brought up that I had a 3-week planned vacation in 4 months. I had never taken vacation, so I had 6 weeks saved up and did not want to start losing it. He told me, of course, that would be fine and we would be able to make it work. About a week later, we have our first meeting with our product team. They had a new, large project idea and wanted it to be released in just 3 months. As my team looked over the details, we knew this was a 6 to 8 month project at best, and it would be better to deliver it in smaller increments, so they still had something to show in 3 months, or we would need to push out the schedule. My boss was adamantly against both, so throughout the next week, he made us have last-minute 3 to 4 hour brainstorming sessions every day, but he would not even tell us until around 3 p.m., forcing all of us to work late every day that week. At the end of the week, there was no way we could figure out how to deliver everything on the shorter timeline, and so my boss asked me to stay behind after the meeting. For an hour, he railed against me, saying I was failing at this project and that he could not see me getting a good annual review in 4 months, and that a promotion wasn't even on the table. This annual review would also include the project I had just received an award for and is supposed to encompass 12 months of work. But he was basing this off the first 2 weeks on this new team. At this point, I knew he was ready to use me as a scapegoat for his bad management and started applying elsewhere. We continued working on the project, and sure enough, at the end of 3 months, we were still far from being able to deliver, and my boss was getting heat from up above. Right around this time, I received an offer for another company that would be the promotion I wanted and an even larger pay increase. I accepted the offer and negotiated my start date to be after my vacation, now 3 weeks away. That same day, my boss calls me into his office and tells me, "We need to talk about this vacation." I reminded him that we had talked about it months before and that everything is booked, flights, hotels, etc. He would not let up and told me there is no way I could take 3 weeks off with how behind schedule we are. He told me I could go on my trip, but I could not take vacation and would be expected to be online during our business hours throughout the trip. 4 a.m., 1 p.m. local time in my vacation spot. Cue malicious compliance. Every morning while on vacation, I would log on at 4 a.m., check emails, answer questions on our internal chat, and do the minimum work expected, logging off as soon as it hit 1 p.m., all without burning any vacation. With 1 week left in vacation, I requested a conference call with my boss to give him my 2 weeks notice. He was shocked and tried everything to get me to stay and finish out the project, including bringing back up a possible promotion. I told him I had already accepted a job with a start date upcoming. I worked my last 2 weeks before moving on to my new job. Because my boss required me not to take vacation, the company had to pay out all of my accrued vacation once I left. A little less than 7 weeks at this point, including the 3 weeks I had originally planned to take. Now short-staffed, I heard from other co-workers that the project missed 2 more adjusted deadlines and eventually the manager was demoted before being let go from the company. About 6 months later, the head of the first company asked me to lunch to offer me a role taking over my former boss's old position. I negotiated an even higher pay increase as well as company equity and ended up going back there for 3 more years. Well, OP, nothing to say but tip of the hat to your malicious compliance, OP. You got the best deal of all of them. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.